we finished, and Michael Eisner said, well, you may actually make this movie in black and white on a prop plane, and it may go on to be a big hit, but it won't be at this studio. I think we caved in on the way to the parking lot. It never entered our minds that we wouldn't make it. I mean, I made jokes like saying, well, I always have my father's mattress business to fall back on. But really, we thought we had machine guns in the Civil War. And so there was no Eureka moment. There were only crushing disappointments along the way.
I'm Josh Golden, and this is Eureka, where we explore big ideas and how they came to be. Today we have an amazing guest and an inspiration to movie makers and comedians everywhere, Mr. David Zucker, who is best known for his smash comedy movie Airplane, which he wrote and directed along with his brother Jerry and Jim Abrams, aka Zaz. Of course, Airplane was just the beginning of their journey, but that's what I love to hear about. Things starting, first times, that's where the magic lives. How did that amazing movie come about? How did they get there from the regular formulaic comedies that had been so prevalent during the time? And the casting, just astounding. I'm so excited to hear all about Airplane and how it came to be. And oh, I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. I want to thank Verizon Media for being a proud supporter of Eureka. As an incubator of innovation and next-gen content, Verizon Media's trusted media ecosystem of premium brands like Yahoo and TechCrunch help consumers, advertisers, and media partners stay informed, entertained, and connected. David, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Sure, I'm ready for whatever you have for me.
Airplane for me was foundational. But before we get to the movie, I have to ask you just two quick questions because I talk about on the show a lot about creativity, and I want to know if there's a sound that you make or some vocal utterance that you make when you have a big idea, something that you like. Wow, I've just realized something. What's the sound you make?
Gee, I do a lot of groaning. So that's probably the sound I make when I have a big idea.
Where do you think that you're the most creative? Do you find like I'm the most creative when I blank?
In California.
Just in the state of California, that's where the most creative.
If I'm in this state, I'm very creative. However, we started out being creative in Wisconsin. We started out in Milwaukee.
You did.
But I'm most creative in the morning with my coffee at about, from 9 to 11. And that's when we wrote all the movies, in the morning and, heavily drugged on coffee.
So caffeine, that's a constant, it's a thread I'm hearing.
Wonderful.
It's certainly a thread. When did you realize that you were funny?
Let
me ask this, sorry. Do you think of yourself as funny?
Yeah, no, I know I'm funny, but I don't think that I try to be funny. And my dad used to be very funny and never tell a joke, but he would say the most hilarious things, but with a straight face. And I think my brother and I were very influenced by that type of humor, and it may have come from our grandfather. In fact, there's one of my favorite pictures is. I'm a 4-year-old. I'm standing in between my dad and my grandfather. My dad and I are wearing bow ties, and my grandfather has fashioned his necktie into a ridiculously large bow tie and keeping a straight face. Just,
like he meant it.
Face. And so I'm sorry I didn't get to know my grandfather more. I mean, he died like a year later. Maybe it was that joke that killed him. But, but he must have been very dryly funny, like my dad.
And obviously that it's just looking at Leslie Nielsen as an example.
Leslie Nielsen. This woman has to be gotten to a hospital.
A hospital? What is it?
It's a big building with patients, but that's not important right now.
Do you think that was what fed that type of dry, plainly delivered humor without having overwhelming?
Absolutely. We appreciated jokes and comedians like Bill Murray and Chevy Chase, and the more modern comedians like Kevin Hart, Eddie Murphy, Jim Carrey. Those guys are great, but we never really thought that those were things that made us laugh the hardest. So we would laugh at serious movies, and which we thought were unintentionally funny. And I think that's how Airplane evolved.
So share with me, if you can, how you got to Airplane. Tell me what sparked the concept.
What directly sparked the concept is we thought serious movies were funnier than movies that had comedians in them. And we would redub movies. And so there were serious movies where the character would say, what time do we take off for the spy mission? At 0800 hours, sharp. And then we'd redub it, where is your hand? It's right here at the end of my wrist. So, we would put in like the weirdest stuff. And one day we watched this movie called 0 Hour, which was a 1957 black and white movie, and it had the exact plot of Airplane.
The life of everyone on board depends upon just one thing.
Finding someone back there who not only can fly this plane,
but who didn't have fish for dinner.
Excuse me.
So the first officer is ill, and the captain needs someone to help him with the radio. Do you know anything about planes?
I flew in the war, but that was a long time ago.
I wouldn't know anything about it.
And the idea occurred to us, wait a minute. Now, instead of just redubbing this with our silly stuff, we could recast it with current actors who were very taken seriously and didn't have comic reputations at all. And so that became the concept for Airplane.
There was always a comedian or a group of comedians that were funny, that were making the movie funny. This was a choice to choose, actors that were specifically straight actors, and delivering lines that were hysterical but straight.
Right. I mean, when you think of lines like,
Can you fly this plane and land it?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
that delivered by Chevy Chase or Bill Murray may have been funny, but not as funny as being within this concept of, it's ostensibly a serious movie.
Was there a critical insight that you were able to uncover with Kentucky Fried Movie or with Kentucky Fried Theater that you guys did that allowed you that gave you permission to do what you've done with Airplane? Well, actually, why don't you speak about Kentucky Fried Movie or theater so you can get to it?
We all grew up in Milwaukee, and Jerry and I and Jim all attended the University of Wisconsin. And so I majored in film and TV communications, and I really wanted to get into movies. I mean, but you can't do that when you grow up in Milwaukee. It's like, yeah, great. So I went, anyways, I went down to Chicago to see a girlfriend, and her roommate suggested that we go to see this videotape show. At the time, this was completely new. There was no, there were no cell phones. There was no video. There was nothing like that. And so somebody had gotten hold of the first Sony home video equipment.
Wow!
And they put into this show in Chicago, in Newtown, Chicago. And it was in a loft, and everybody sat on a waterbed and saw this, the hour and 15 minutes of video. And it was just amazing. Looking back on it now, I don't know how funny I would find it now. It's probably mostly scatological stuff and kind of primitive humor, but I thought it was hysterical. And
what was it? What was it that was the content?
It was just sketches, just video sketches and spoofs on commercials. But that's where the idea for Kentucky Fried Theater came from, is I thought, well, this we could do. So we borrowed some videotape equipment, and then Jerry and I recruited Jim Abrams and another friend, Dick Chudnow. And Dick was a teaching assistant at University of Wisconsin at the time, and had an improv group, because he was all about stage and improvisation. So we combined that. So we did a videotape show combined with live sketches, and that became the Kentucky Fried Theater. And the show was very successful in Madison, where we set up our first theater. And it was a 70-seat theater, and it was so successful, but we could only charge $1 admission, and we wanted to go to get discovered and get on the Tonight Show. That was our dream.
Oh,
If
my.
we could get on the Tonight Show, we could die, and that would be fine. A life well lived. So we loaded up a U-Haul truck, went to LA, set up a larger theater on Pico Boulevard in West LA, and that was very successful too. And within 4 months, we were on the Tonight Show.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. But we weren't very good. So,
why do you think that? Why do you think you weren't very good?
Well, because we thought we would be successful as a performing group, since we were very successful doing our live show, and but our stuff really didn't come off great on TV. It was wonderful live, and the studio audience at the Tonight Show just laughed hysterically, but it didn't come off on the screen. So we did the show on Pico Boulevard for about 2 more years, and then we recast the show, and we started another show called My Nose, so that our listing in the weekly LA Times calendar section would read, "My Nose runs continuously." So, and we would do these things together because we had no publicity budget. And then Jim and Jerry and I started writing Airplane. That's really
that is great.
How that whole thing developed.
It's funny. I was watching Conan OBrien is ending his series run, and he talks about his strategy that he's had for 29 years, which is the intersection between smart and stupid, which it's seemingly counterintuitive that there is an intersection, but I believe that his brand has created that. Is there some strategy that Zaz had created to sort of continually pepper or focus on a certain objective to brand your form of funny?
We weren't intellectual enough to come up with,
a strategy,
smart versus stupid, but I think that's what in fact we did. I think Airplane does. I mean, now that you mention it, we never thought about anything. We just, we saw stuff that was taken seriously, like these commercials or television shows that were deadly serious, and we could spoof them, and that just came naturally to us.
So when you go to that first movie, when you're repitching Airplane and you're in I'm guessing you're pitching, the three of you are pitching, what was that feeling like when you're pitching, like, is this going to happen?
Well, we had a meeting at Warner Brothers, and there was this guy named Mark Rosenberg, nice guy, had gone to the University of Wisconsin. I mean, we thought this was a slam dunk. We pitched it. He loved us. He loved the idea. And then he read the script. Never a good idea, evidently. So, and they said no. And then every studio turned it down until the head of Paramount, Michael Eisner, heard about the script at a dinner and just heard the concept, comedy at an airplane. And this was before cell phones. And the way he tells it, he excused himself from the table at the restaurant, got on the phone to his second in command,
right,
which at the time was Jeff Katzenberg, and said, I want you to own the script by Monday or something. And so we got the call over the weekend that the Paramount wanted to be with us. This was
what was that moment like for you, David?
It was amazing. That Paramount wanted to meet. And so we were there on probably Tuesday, and we met with Katzenberg, Don Simpson, Barry Diller, Michael Eisner, Dawn Steele, everybody, Frank Mancuso, the whole Paramount brass, which turned out that was an all-star team of executives.
It certainly was.
At the time we didn't realize how great they were, and Paramount took us through a rewrite of the script, which made it better. And so it's like most filmmakers, they say, "Oh, the studio, they're morons, they're horrible." But in this case, the studio actually, we were so lucky to wind up with Paramount because there were a lot of other things we were asking for. Among the most important was we wanted to direct it. We insisted on directing it. And we were asking a lot of the studio, and they were shopping it to other directors. They were really, for a long time, not letting us direct it.
I would love to hear, if you could share with me, David, the moment that you knew that Airplane was going to work.
Well, we always thought it would work. I mean, from the very beginning. I mean, we were essentially telling the studios, like Columbus did, if we sail west, there's going to be land out there. You won't fall off the edge of the earth. And we were doing a comedy without comedians. That's why we came to LA and we knew we would make it. We were completely confident. People would ask me, what was your plan B if you didn't make it? And the thing is, it never entered our minds that we wouldn't make it. I mean, I made jokes like saying, well, I always have my father's mattress business to fall back on. But really, we were completely self-confident. We thought we had machine guns in the Civil War. And so there was no eureka moment. For me, there were only crushing disappointments along the way.
Hi there, I'm here with Pat McCormick, the Vice President of Global Partnerships for Verizon Media. Pat, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Josh. It's great to see you.
Pat, can you tell me about a moment of inspiration that might have changed your perspective or perhaps your Eureka moment you can share?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think I have an interesting story. It may sound a little sad, but I can assure you that this is a very happy ending.
Okay.
But let me set the stage. Sunday night, packing my bags, getting ready for a business trip, heading out this time to the south of France.
A nice place to travel to.
Not too shabby. Better than most of my business trips. But we land in France. We're off and running. Partner meetings, business meetings, super productive day. But what I didn't know is that seconds later, I'd be getting that phone call that nobody wants to get. And this was kind of my brick wall moment. I got a call from my wife and learned that she had a brain tumor.
Oh my goodness, Pat.
Of course, I jumped on the next flight back to New York, and really that's when our 4-year journey started to cure my wife.
Wow, that's heavy.
We learned a ton from that experience. I think, for like many people, we had been kind of rolling through life, in many days feeling like we were on autopilot, and this really shook us up. This was kind of hitting that brick wall, and I think we learned that sometimes things in life are out of our control. We learned that you've got to remain positive. You've got to stick together as a team and tap your inner calm. I think that's really what I've learned, whether it's in my personal life or my professional life, working together as a team, remaining positive, working hard. Those are all things I carry forward.
Wow, Pat, wow, I'm so glad she's okay. A, B, what an amazing learning that you can take, not only to obviously influence to recognize what's really important, but to really have a positive impact on the whole rest of your life. Pat, thank you for sharing that very, very, very personal story. I think it's a great story to share.
Thank you, Josh.
David, I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions, and these are quick answers, so don't feel like, if you'd want to go into any of them, you should feel free to, but I'm just curious. Is a spit take still funny?
Love spit takes. And, and they're as old as, I don't know, Chaplin,
yeah,
maybe
probably.
Milton Berle. But no, I think all that stuff is funny, including falling down. And then around my own house, we have a thing where if you get a spit take from somebody, they have to put $20 in the spit take jar.
Oh, that's a good thing. That's a strong motivator. What's your biggest habit, David, and what about that habit has made you successful?
The habit is just persistence, I think. I mean, it's just I get an idea. I worked on the Before the Invention of Smiling, that book, for 20 years on and off, and I never gave up. And we worked for 10 years from the time we started in Milwaukee, from the time to the time we did Airplane. That was 10 years. And I've been working on my next book. It's called Shirley, You Can't Be Serious, which is the story of ZAZ, how we went from Milwaukee to
I can't wait to read that.
And it's just persistence. Yeah.
What do you, in your opinion, what's the greatest innovation in all of history?
Saran wrap. That's I'm borrowing from Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks said
a good person to borrow from. This is my last question, sir. What's the one thing about you that surprises people?
It could be that I'm so handsome. People are just completely disarmed by I'm 73 and I look like this. It's like people just are amazed.
Oh my God, David, I cannot thank you enough. I'm so fortunate to have the chance to chat with you about this movie and your story and your history. Thank you so much for enlightening me and our audience.
I'm glad it was helpful. Sure,
It really was. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.